You see the flicker of doubt in their eyes when they talk about their perfect new partner. You hear the tiny crack of uncertainty in your boss's voice when they announce the flawless new plan. You feel it in your gut. But when you look around, everyone else is just smiling and nodding. Most people who see what others don't think their job is to convince everyone else. This is a dangerous trap. 99% will miss the final part, where we build the internal shield that turns this painful gift into an unshakable superpower. Skipping it means you'll have this powerful lens, but no way to protect yourself from the glare, risking burnout and doubting your own sanity. Pattern recognition. Let's just name what you are. You're not crazy. You're not negative. You're not a psychic. You are a high perceiver. You are a pattern recognizer. Your brain is a finely tuned instrument that picks up on the thousands of microsignals that other people's brains filter out as noise. This isn't a woo-woo concept. It's a science-backed reality of human perception. While most people are listening to the words someone is saying, you are processing their vocal cadence, their pupil dilation, the slight hesitation before they answer a key question, and the mismatch between their confident words and their self-soothing gesture of rubbing their arm. Your brain is a supercomputer running a constant cross-analysis of data streams, and it is brilliant at spotting one thing: incongruence, the tiny crack in the story, the emotional data that doesn't align with the verbal data. This is your superpower. In psychology, this ability is related to concepts like thin slicing, the ability to find patterns in events based on narrow windows of experience. Your brain can take a tiny slice of behavior and, with surprising accuracy, extrapolate a larger truth. It's also powered by a highly active mirror neuron system. These are the brain cells that allow us to feel what others are feeling. When someone is secretly anxious, your mirror neurons can fire in a similar pattern, which is why you might suddenly feel a wave of unexplained anxiety in their presence. You are literally feeling the emotional subtext that they are trying to hide. You don't just hear their lies, you feel the physical stress of them lying. You don't just see their fake smile, you feel the hollowness behind it. It's an incredible amount of data to process, and for a long time, you may not have even had a name for it. You just knew that you had a bad feeling or that something felt off. This pattern recognition skill is a massive evolutionary advantage. It's what kept our ancestors safe, allowing them to detect the subtle signs of a predator or the untrustworthy member of the tribe. In the modern world, it makes you an incredible friend, a discerning leader, and a deeply empathetic partner. You are the one who knows what's wrong before anyone else has to say it. You are the one who can spot the fatal flaw in a business plan that everyone else thinks is brilliant. You see the emotional iceberg on the horizon while everyone else is on the deck of the Titanic admiring the sunset. You are the designated truth seer. And for a while, this feels like a gift. You use it to help your friends, to navigate complex social situations, and to protect yourself. But then, one day, you realize that seeing the truth and speaking the truth are two very, very different things. And that is when the superpower starts to feel a lot more like a curse. Social cost. This is where the danger begins. Because the one thing a comfortable group of people hates more than anything is an inconvenient truth. Groups are built on shared narratives, on a collective agreement to see the world in a certain way. Our team is strong. Their relationship is perfect. This plan is foolproof. These stories create a sense of safety and cohesion. When you, the pattern recognizer, step forward and point out the data that contradicts the shared narrative, you are not seen as helpful. You are seen as a threat. You are a threat to the group's comfort, to their blissful ignorance. You are the one person who is trying to wake everyone up from a very pleasant dream, and they will not thank you for it. This is where you get the labels. You're so negative. You're not a team player. Why do you have to overthink everything? You're being too sensitive. These labels are not actually about you. They are defense mechanisms. They are the group's way of trying to discredit your perception so they can comfortably go back to sleep. This phenomenon is so ancient that the Greeks had a name for it, the Cassandra curse. In the myth, the princess Cassandra was given the gift of prophecy, but she was also cursed so that no one would ever believe her warnings. She foresaw the destruction of her city, Troy, but she was dismissed as crazy. She was forced to watch the very disasters she predicted come to pass, completely alone in her knowledge. This is the profound isolation of the high perceiver. You see the red flags, You try to warn the people you care about, and they look at you like you have three heads. They proceed exactly as planned, and you are forced to watch them walk straight into the very hole you told them was there. And the worst part, when it all falls apart, when you are proven right, they don't come back and say, "You were right, I should have listened." More often than not, they resent you for it. Your correctness is a mirror to their poor judgment, and they resent you for holding it up. This social cost leads to the second danger, emotional exhaustion. It takes an immense amount of energy to constantly perceive this extra layer of reality, and it takes even more energy to hold it all inside. You are walking around with a secret knowledge that you know will be rejected if you share it. This forces you into a painful choice. Do you speak your truth and risk the social isolation, or do you stay silent and betray your own perception? Both options are draining. You end up in a state of hypervigilance, constantly scanning and analyzing, trying to figure out who is safe to share your perceptions with. This cognitive load is immense. It's like running a complex software program in the background of your mind, 24/7. It leads to burnout, anxiety, and a deep sense of loneliness. You start to feel like you are living in a slightly different reality than everyone else, separated by a thin veil of perception that no one else can see through. This is the true danger. You start to wonder if the problem is actually you. The gaslighting from the outside world starts to become internalized, and you begin to doubt the one thing that is most true about you, your own brilliant, powerful perception. Strategic communication. So how do you wield this superpower without getting burned? How do you share what you see in a way that people can actually hear? This is where we have to move from being a raw perceiver to being a skilled communicator. You have to learn how to translate your complex, intuitive data into a language that the rest of the world can understand. This is not about dulling your perception, it's about packaging it intelligently. The goal is to stop being the lone alarmist and to start being a collaborative problem solver. You have to learn to lead people to the truth rather than just throwing it at them. I want to give you 3 powerful tactical tools to do this. The first tool is what I call the data drop. When you perceive an incongruence, your first instinct is to share your conclusion. I don't trust him. This project is going to fail. She's not being honest. These are high-level interpretations, and they are immediately met with defensiveness because you are asking someone to leap from their reality to yours without showing them the steps. Instead of sharing your conclusion, you must learn to only share the raw, objective data points that led you to it. Instead of, "I don't trust him," you say, "I noticed that when he was telling that story, he looked at the ceiling and his vocal tone went up. That's interesting, right?" Instead of, "This project is going to fail," you say, "I was looking at the timeline and I saw that our team's deadline is here, but the other team's deliverable we depend on isn't due until a week later. Can you help me understand how those 2 dates connect?" You are not offering an opinion. You are presenting observable, undeniable facts and then inviting the other person into a state of curiosity with you. You are turning them into a fellow detective rather than positioning them as your adversary. The second tool is the curious question. This is a step up from the data drop. Instead of pointing out the data, you ask a question that will force the other person to discover the data for themselves. This is the most powerful way to influence others because people will always believe their own conclusions more than they will believe yours. Instead of saying, "I think our marketing is targeting the wrong demographic," you ask, "I'm curious, what was the data that led us to focus on the 18 to 25 demographic for this product? Could we run a small test on the 30 to 40 demographic just to see what happens?" You are not challenging their decision. You are inviting them to test their own hypothesis. You are framing your insight as a collaborative experiment. This approach bypasses their ego and their defensiveness. It makes them feel smart and in control while you gently guide them towards the crack in the logic that you spotted from a mile away. The final tool is the energy budget. This is a tool for your own self-preservation. You, the high perceiver, see 100 things a day that are slightly off. You see the inefficiency in the checkout line, the subtle tension between 2 colleagues, the flaw in a commercial's logic. You must accept that you do not have the energy or the responsibility to point out every single pattern you recognize. You have a finite amount of social and emotional capital. You must treat your insights like a budget. You have to ask yourself, is this truth important enough to spend my capital on? Will pointing this out actually lead to a positive change? Or will it just drain my energy and alienate others? Sometimes the most intelligent and powerful thing you can do is see the truth, acknowledge it to yourself, and then consciously decide to let it go. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Choosing your battles is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of profound strategic wisdom. Internal anchor. This is it. This is the final and most important piece of the puzzle. The communication tactics are your external tools, but they will feel hollow and strategic if you don't have the internal foundation to back them up. This is the work that turns this from a painful burden into an integrated, unshakable part of who you are. The ultimate danger of seeing what others don't is not the social isolation or the exhaustion. It is the risk of losing trust in yourself. This final chapter is about building an internal anchor, so deep and so strong that no amount of external doubt can pull you off your center. It's about learning to be your own primary source of validation. The first step in building your anchor is to become a scientist of your own perception. I want you to start a perception journal. It's a private place where you document the patterns you see. When you get a bad feeling about someone, write it down. Be specific. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you feel? When you spot a flaw in a plan, document it. Then you wait. You let reality play out. And when your perception is proven correct, you go back to your journal and you mark it. You write down the outcome. This is not about being right or gloating. This is a deliberate, conscious process of building a data-backed case for your own intuition. Over months and years, you will build an undeniable body of evidence that proves that your perception is not a random, anxious fluke. It is a reliable, accurate tool. This journal becomes your shield against gaslighting. When someone tells you you're just being paranoid, you will have a quiet internal library of dozens of times you were not paranoid. You were just early. The second step is to build your council of perceivers. The loneliness of this gift comes from trying to explain what you see to people whose brains are not wired to see it. It's like trying to describe color to someone born in a black and white world. You must stop trying to get validation from everyone. Instead, you need to identify the one or two other high perceivers in your life. They are there. They are the friend who always seems to understand the unspoken dynamics, the colleague who can predict problems weeks in advance. These are your people. You need to form a small, trusted council where you can go and say, I'm seeing this pattern, am I crazy? And they will be able to look at the same data and help you analyze it. This council is your sanity check. It is the antidote to the Cassandra curse. It reminds you that you are not alone in your reality. The final and most liberating step is what I call the responsibility release. This is the most profound boundary you will ever set. You must decouple your perception from a sense of obligation. Seeing a problem does not automatically make it your responsibility to fix it. Let me say that again. Seeing the crack does not mean you are required to spackle it. Your job is to perceive with clarity. You can then choose to use your communication tools to share your data, but you must release your attachment to the outcome. You cannot force people to act on the information you provide. You must learn to say, I have shared the data that I see. What you choose to do with it is your responsibility. This release is the ultimate act of self-preservation. It is what prevents you from burning out, from becoming the fixer, the rescuer, the emotional janitor for everyone around you. You are the watchtower, not the entire army. You can signal the danger, but you cannot fight everyone's battles for them. Your perception is not a burden. It is a compass. For a long time, you may have been trying to convince everyone else to follow your compass, getting frustrated when they insisted on walking in the wrong direction. The real journey is learning to trust your compass for your own navigation, to guide your own choices, to protect your own energy, and to walk your own path with a quiet, unshakable confidence, knowing that you are seeing the world with a rare and beautiful clarity. Which part of this made you feel deeply seen? For me, it was always the pain of the Cassandra curse. I'd love to hear your story in the comments.